Good afternoon and welcome to Success. It's a great day at Columbia State Community College. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. We are here at Columbia State Community College, Tennessee's first community college established in 1966. Our president of the college is Dr. Janet Smith. Welcome to the Spring 2025 Lunch and Learn Career Industry Podcast Series, episode number 6 of 7-part series, hosted by the Career, Veteran, and Transfer Center in the Student Services Division. This event is co-sponsored by Republic Bank and Trust and also the Charger Pathways Impact Program funded through the Rural Post-Secondary Economic Development Grant. We would like to thank our lunch partners during this series: CoWorks Coffee, Cabin Coffee, Subway, Chick-fil-A, and today's lunch sponsor, Boot Stomping Barbecue of Columbia. I am your host, Frida Leslie Pillow, coordinator of the CVT Center here at Columbia State. We will have a very exciting discussion with our guest panelists today on the topic of careers and scholarships in military science, the Reserves, and Reserve Officer Training Corps. We want listeners to explore career paths, understand industry trends, including the anticipated impact of artificial intelligence in specific fields. As a listener, we want you to know that classroom instruction and the body of knowledge provided by Columbia State can develop you now for future workforce opportunities. Today, we will also tie in the importance of the 7 core competencies of general education as defined by the Tennessee Board of Regents and employers globally. Whatever your next moves, know that Columbia State is the right institution to build a solid foundation for your future. Today, I will ask our panelists, and if time permits, provide an opportunity for the participating audience to answer questions. Today, we will have each of our panelists provide a self introduction. So, with a round of applause, let us welcome our guest panelists.
Well, thank you, Frida. My name is Marty Hill. I'm with Middle Tennessee State University's Reserve Officer Training Corps. I'm the recruiting operations officer for the program there. A little bit about the program. ROTC is it's a leadership development program that's offered at over 1,000 different universities and colleges across the nation. What we do there is we build leadership for the Army. We produce Army officers. So you come through our program, and when you graduate, you can graduate as an Army officer and commission into either the Army active duty, the Reserves, or the National Guard, depending on what your career goals are and your service goals. ROTC does offer scholarship opportunities for qualified individuals to help cover those tuition costs or the cost of living for college students. A little bit about my background. So I'm a 22-year Army veteran. My last job for the Army was teaching ROTC at Middle Tennessee State, and then retired after 22 years, and the recruiting officer job opened up. So knowing the program and knowing how everything works there, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to come in and inform individuals and qualify them for our program.
Good. Thank you.
My turn.
Yes.
I'm Paul Chambers. I'm the local active duty and Army Reserve recruiter for the area. I've been doing this for a long time, and my biggest passion is trying to provide the information to young men and women, from 17 to, whatever, to basically try to help guide them into making or helping them in their career paths so they can achieve their goals and dreams whether it be actual career in the military or whatever their goals are outside, in the real world, getting their degree. I've been doing it, altogether like 27 years altogether, and, got a lot of experience and a lot of information, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here, and thank both of you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Question number 1. To give our listeners a better understanding of the opportunities offered through the military, the reserves, or Reserve Officers Training Corps, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have regarding the military and the ROTC program? And what would you want to share with listeners on what they need to know if they are considering this field?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions as far as the ROTC goes is that if you come and you participate in our program, you're enlisting in the military and you're going to serve. That's not exactly true up front. Our program is an elective course that's offered through the university that does build on leadership and provide service after graduation. However, the first 2 years of our program is open for any student to take. Like I said, it's a general elective. It goes towards whatever degree you're going towards. And you're able to take the program with no service commitment or requirement up front for at least the first 2 years. So you can get a feel of what the Army's all about, how the course works, to whether or not you want to make that decision later on to actually commit to service post-graduation. Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Thank you.
Right. And for me, what I've encountered in my years, a lot of misconceptions people have about whether it be active duty Army or Army Reserve is as soon as they put this uniform on, they're going to die. They're going to go to war and die. And, that's just totally not true. I mean, I've been wearing this uniform for a long time, and, it just doesn't happen. But primarily in the reserve is part-time, 1 week in a month, 2 to 3 weeks out of the year. After you complete your training, you're only wearing the uniform, 38 to 45 days a year. And so when you do the math out of a 6-year contract, you're wearing it for less than half a year. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions I found. They think that they're all going to be infantry. They don't realize the Army and Army Reserve has 200 jobs that literally range from A to W. So if you think about it here in the real world, the Army has something comparable to it. I mean, we have engineers, we have electricians, we have nurses, we have midwives. We have it all. So that's the biggest misconceptions I've encountered.
Thank you for that. Could we speak on how can individuals get involved in your program and how can they prepare now? What do they need to start doing now in order to get involved in this field?
Well, when it comes to ROTC, college bound. If you're going to go to college, high school students right now, those rising seniors, current juniors, now's the time for you to start thinking about and preparing for it. Usually about the second week of June is when your first scholarship opportunity will open up, and that's with the National High School Scholarship application. It's an online scholarship application. You can go on to goarmy.com and start the process. It's pretty simple. But now is the time for you to look for the scholarship route. And you'll know before you graduate high school whether or not the Army selected you for a scholarship, whether it's a 3-year or 4-year scholarship. Outside of that, if you do show up to a university that has ROTC as a program, the easiest thing to do is just get enrolled in the course. It's just like registering for any other course, and take the class and see if it's something that you want to continue with.
Okay, very good.
And he touched on everything there. For me, whether it be active duty or reserve, we can hire you from 17 to 39. But reserve is ideal for high school students, college students, and, seasonal workers. So if you're a high school junior or a high school senior and you're wanting to go to college, then, give me a call because we can definitely help you out. We have a multitude of programs like we were discussing earlier. Not only through ROTC, we have Minuteman, we have a CONAP program, which can help you get into 2,000 colleges around the country, almost regardless of what your ACT, SAT is. We have ways of paying for it. You can use Army Reserve money and in conjunction with Tennessee Promise. So there's a lot of things, a lot of ways out there, and the biggest way to get started is just sitting down with me.
Very good. Can either one of you speak to how much money are we talking about for school, for education?
So with an ROTC scholarship, so basically what it'll cover, if it's a 4-year scholarship, it'll cover full tuition and fees, or room and board. That's in-state, out-of-state, private, it doesn't matter. So whether you're coming to Middle Tennessee State University, where tuition's somewhere around $10,000 a year, or if you're going to Vanderbilt University, where you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a degree, it doesn't matter. The Army will cover it as long as you're awarded that scholarship, and it's the standard tuition and fees. Now, if you already got school covered through other scholarships or means, you could always use the scholarship for a room and board option, which at this time is $12,000 or $12,000 a year, $6,000 per semester. That gets paid to the student directly, and then you can use it to essentially with whatever you want. You can use it to cover your room and board. If you're staying at home, that's money in the bank.
Very good.
He covered it.
All right, excellent. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit. This is dealing with new technologies and artificial intelligence. How do you perceive new technologies and artificial intelligence impacting your work and the field of military science and ROTC? And the other part of that, are there some ways you are seeing technology and AI changing how things are done in your field?
Well, of course, the Army is always changing. It's always evolving. From the time it was, its conception in 1775, it's always evolved. To the point to like now, 114 years ago today, the Army Reserve started out of the Army Medical Corps, Reserve Medical Corps. But AI is going to be a very interesting concept and part of the Army. From my understanding, they are working on a lot of different skills and software and technology. We utilize AI through ChatGPT in my job now. So it's definitely changing. I can see it changing the Army of tomorrow. And so those young men and women that have an interest in that, and want to be a part of tomorrow's history, if you will, it's a great time to do it because, it's easy for, a young individual to come into, the Army Reserve, go through an ROTC program and in computer sciences and, electrical engineering and help change, the technology for tomorrow.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Like I said, the Army is always adapting to the changes that are coming with technology. Not long ago, the Army stood up a new cybersecurity branch, which involves a lot of that stuff as well. And AI also, you can help out with training, coming up with scenarios and stuff like that. Therefore, you can see that stuff and react to it prior to actually running into those scenarios.
Very good, thank you. So this next question, both the Tennessee Board of Regents and Columbia State Charter Corps have made a commitment to preparing our students for navigating the world of evolving opportunities. So, this line of questioning surrounds the 7 core competencies defined by TBR and employers globally. Those 7 core competencies, they include global and cultural awareness, communication, critical thinking, creative and artistic expression, scientific inquiry and mathematical reasoning, ethical reasoning, and information literacy. Choose maybe one or two or more of these 7 competencies and help our listeners know how this translates into work done in your fields and in the work you do daily.
Well, I would say there are several of them in that list that pop out right up front. Communication, the critical thinking, and the cultural awareness up front. The Army is very diverse. The military in general is a very diverse force made up of, you know, a large group of people as far as, from all backgrounds and nationalities. And then building on that with leadership, and then just the shared experiences through the military, communication, the critical thinking is always one of those aspects as well. Yeah.
Well, as he said, is the Army is very diverse. We're made up of tens of thousands of people from all walks of life, from all cultures and all ethnicities. I personally have put in people in the Army from multiple different countries, from Africa, from India, Nepal, Jamaica, and Germany. So I have worked with people from all walks of the world, all parts of the world. Now, for example, global and cultural awareness. What people don't realize is my formal job as a civil affairs specialist. That's what we do, is we go into countries and we learn their culture, and we learn as much about them as we can. And so we can now relate to that community. And should we have an Army operation going through there, we can tell the combative commanders, look, you don't need to target this area. You don't need to do that. Communication, critical thinking, that's, that's what Army is all about. You have to be able to communicate and literally think critically and be able to think on your feet and move, because everything changes. It's a good plan until it actually is put into implementation. Mm-hmm. And then you have to start referring back to your plan B, C, and all. STEM, I can see our STEM programs falling into the scientific mathematical reasoning. Mm-hmm. The Army has about 100 different STEM-related classes or jobs that people don't realize. They don't realize we have biomedical officers. We have biomedical engineering. We have officers that are specifically for disease control. So there's things that, so all 7 of these core competencies the Army has. Ethical reasoning, that's all part of the Army values. So in the Army, we teach, these young men and women and instill these things into them.
Very good. Thank you. Looks like there are a lot of exciting opportunities in serving our country.
There are. And, the easiest way is, yes, to sit down with a recruiter. If you don't want, if before you do your research, you can go to goarmy.com. You can download the Army Careers Navigator app, mm-hmm. and you can look and see what all the Army has. As I was saying earlier, we have midwives. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have cardiovasculars. We have programs that's going to pay for Vanderbilt. The Army sends about a dozen doctors to Vanderbilt every year to help further their education. So there's more opportunities than people realize. that's available in the Army. They just have to get through the misconceptions that they have that as soon as they put this uniform on, something bad's going to happen to them.
Thank you for that. Okay, so for our final question, would either of our panelists have any closing advice you would like to give listeners interested in the military or ROTC? Advice that can help them in life in general, from your own experience, or in any way that you want to share, impart some wisdom?
I would say in closing, like I said, keep all your options open. Look out there, find out what your goals are. Look long term, and if the military is something that can help facilitate that goal, don't be scared to go and talk to someone. Do your due diligence, do your research, and then go find someone to actually see if it's a viable option for you, and just try it out, especially if there's programs like Army ROTC that offers you a chance to try it out without making commitments. Get in there and experience it. And if it's not something that you want to do, then you can always back out at that time. You've made no commitments.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add, do your research. Because as I tell everybody, every branch, every component has literally some of the same benefits and opportunities, some different, some, vary some there, here and there. It's just like colleges. If you're planning on going to a 4-year college, do your research. Just because you live here in Columbia, Tennessee, doesn't mean you can't go to the University of Miami or something. Do your research, find out what your goals are, what your plans are, and which college or which military branch is best going to fit you and to help you achieve those goals and dreams.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, now we will open the floor for anyone who may have a question for our panelists. If you'd like to pose a question, just raise your hand and go for it. Okay. If we don't have any questions, then this will end this podcast series. And we thank our gentlemen for coming and sharing with us, and we thank you for your service. Let's give them a round of applause.